What's going on, everybody? Ray here, and welcome back to another video. So guys, the Brawl Talk finally came out. There's a lot of new features and additions to the game, but not a lot of new things like brawlers and spectating, but we'll get into that. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming to this update, so let's jump right into it. Alrighty guys, jumping into the first one, the one that blew my mind initially when I first saw the Brawl Talk, and that is we are switching from portrait to landscape. Now, if you don't know what that is, Clash Royale, for example, is portrait, and what we're used to playing in Brawl Stars is portrait, but landscape is more of like Clash of Clans, where you're playing on its side, a longer horizontal plane. So when I first found out that I was changing to landscape, obviously I was a little bit drawn back because it's such a big change, and I'm sure a lot of you guys were feeling the same way. However, I'm seeing that it looks very, very good. If you take a look at it when it's in landscape, it looks beautiful. You can see from wall to wall, you can actually appreciate the entire map. And another thing that I noticed is that there's not going to be a big difference between iPad and iPhone, but we'll get into how they changed iPad and iPhone to be very on equal terms, which was kind of a problem before this update. The next big change is controls. So the controls are way different. So no longer are we tap to play. So all you guys that are used to playing with tap, that's going to be removed from the game. We are left with two joysticks. So instead of tapping to shoot as well, we have to use a joystick. So in order to move, we have to move the joystick on the left, and in order to attack, we have to point and aim the joystick in the direction on the right. So it's going to be a big difference as well. However, I feel like it's going to be good for lining up shots. I've noticed that when you are getting used to kind of lining up shots with, say, Piper, it's a lot different than Brock. This way you can kind of make sure you're there exactly with your joystick. I'm a little bit excited to see how this is going to work. Obviously, it's change again. It's going to take some getting used to, but I think it's going to work a little bit better, especially if you're having troubles lining up your shots with certain brawlers. I think it's going to help out a lot. Now, another feature that they also added with the controls is if you tap the joystick for shooting, it's going to auto attack to the brawler closest to you. So if you see on the screen, there's brawlers outlined in red, which is the brawler closest to the brawler. If you tap that joystick, it's going to shoot at that brawler. I think they're adding this because it takes a little bit of time to flick your joystick. So if you're caught in a pinch, if there's a brawler right on top of you, say bull lurking in the brush, you can hit that auto attack so that it's going to shoot him very, very quickly, where it takes a little bit of time to use that joystick to aim. I think it's a good addition. I think it also plays on the part where they're getting rid of tap to shoot. I think it's going to help players kind of get used to the new controls and getting used to everything that's new with the controls. Now, a thing that's obviously going to come into play with the auto attack is it's not going to work very well for the longer range brawlers, but I don't think it was designed for that. I think it was designed for moments where it's utter panic. So when something urgent is happening, so if a bull is in the brush and, like I said before, and he's starting to come towards you, you need something that is really, really quick. Where if you're locking on with a long range brawler, it's not going to necessarily hit them because they're going to move and things like that. So I don't think it's made for that. You're going to have to use your joystick to aim a little bit longer range for long range brawlers, but it's that last ditch effort, the things that kind of scare you and jump out. So I think I'm for this addition. I think I like it. If they're going to add this joystick for the attack, I think it's necessary for that quick reaction timing that some people excel in. So the next big change is brawler progression. I know we've gotten used to the pins, medals, badges, crests, and star powers. However, they're going to dumb that down. They're going to scrap that and make it a little bit more simpler. So they're introducing a new currency called power points. Now you can unlock these out of the brawl boxes. Say you get 10 power points on a Colt. If you're going to upgrade a Colt, so then you can then upgrade that Colt to whatever level it corresponds with the power points. Now, it sounds a little bit confusing, but it's going to be very simple. If you take a look at Clash Royale, it's kind of like along the same lines as that, where if you get a certain card and a certain number of those cards, you can then upgrade it with your gold to reach a certain level. So think of power points as something first that you have to get to a certain level, then you can upgrade it with gold. It's kind of like in Clash Royale, if you compare it to that. If you pull cards out of the shop, say you want to get to level 2 legendary, you need 2 of those cards. So for comparison, say you need 10 power points to upgrade your Shelly to level 2. So you need those 10 power points first, and then you can use your coins to upgrade it. It's going to be a lot more simple. So if you guys take a look back when they first released the big update with all the interface changes, when they introduced the pins, medals, badges, crests, and star power, it was a little bit daunting, it was a little bit confusing, and try to think what it would be like if people coming to the game, like from global and Android release, new players come into the game, never played Brawl Stars in their life, this process might be a little bit confusing and off-putting. So I agree and I understand why they made the change. They want it to be simple for new players to come to the game. And it's something that I've noticed too with this update is a lot of things that they want to change getting ready for global and Android release. I think they want to gear this update more towards getting ready for the new players to come in. They don't want it super complicated and off-putting, because if it's too complicated and off-putting right away in the beginning, people are going to be dropping the game as soon as they get it. So I understand what they're doing. So the next big change is the shop. So now we're going to be able to buy our levels from the shop. So we can buy power points in the shop, kind of like Clash Royale, where you're buying cards to get to that certain level. Then you can use your gold to upgrade it. It's kind of like the shop now in Brawl Stars. So you can buy power points in the shop for gold so that you can unlock that certain level. So then you can unlock or upgrade your brawler. So the cool thing about the shop is that we don't have to wait to get things out of the brawl boxes. I know it can be a little bit frustrating when we're opening up brawl box after brawl box just to get a star power on a brawler. So now we can buy star powers in the shop. So it's going to be a little bit quicker, a little bit easier to get things in the game when we have that option to get it in the shop. I know that was a nice, very nice addition to Clash Royale that I really liked, where if you were, say, like one card away from getting a power up on a certain brawler, you didn't have to wait and open up brawl box at the brawl box just to get that power point. I think it's a great addition to the game. It's going to help out a lot for newer brawlers coming to the game as well. So the next big change is the iPhone versus the iPad dilemma, where you could see farther on the iPhone vertically and you could see farther on the iPad horizontally. So they're changing that. They finally made it equal, so we're all on level playing field. So the way this is going to work and the way it's explained in the Brawl Talk is that there's going to be gray area where if we're playing with someone on an iPad, they're not going to have the same dimensions as someone on an iPhone. So if they go in that area, they're going to start to disappear. So it's just the cap. So we're going to be playing on the same playing field, whether it's iPhone or iPad. There's those gray spaces. It allows us to play on the same exact dimensions, whether or not you're playing on an iPad or an iPhone. So I'm excited for that. I think that was definitely a big problem. When you're used to playing on the iPhone, you have such a big difference in range on the iPhone, being able to see longer. Also, with this landscape difference, we're not going to be able to see as long as we're used to, so I think that's going to help change a few things as well. So for the next small new change is the kill animation. So I know you guys are used to and you know what the kill animation looks like now, where your name comes up, says defeated so and so. Now it's going to be a little bit more artwork, where it's going to have a picture of who the brawler is playing and who the brawler that they took down is playing. So I think it's definitely a bit better, just because say you're playing in Bounty and someone on your team ties it up and someone doesn't know that, and then they see in the top left corner that someone on their team with 2 stars took down someone with 6 stars. It's definitely something that's like, oh, it's a shocker. You got to turn around and make adjustments. So I think that's definitely a good change. It's going to be a great addition to the game. So for the next change, we're getting a few small additions to the game, such as a new smash and grab map. Also, we're getting some more voice acting, which is always a great sign. Whenever you see voice acting or certain things being added to the game, like little things like the skins and the voice acting, that's how you know that we're getting closer to global, because you need those things before we go global. So the next new thing that they came up with is also new brawler models. So they said that they took a really long time on this. Obviously, we can't see that because that's at their headquarters where they have the models to work on. However, it's going to help a lot with new skins and things like that coming to the game. So we're going to be able to get those skins at a higher rate. Also, it's going to help a lot with new brawlers coming to the game, the design and how they work and function in the game. So we're going to be hopefully getting the skins and new brawlers a lot quicker in next updates, so we don't have to wait 3 months to wait for an update. Or if we have to wait 3 months, we might get more new things because it doesn't take them as long to make it. Alrighty guys, so those are all of the new changes. Obviously, there's not a whole lot new coming to the game in this update, but there's a lot of new changes, which if you guys take a look at it, we are still in a beta, so we are kind of the test subjects. So we got to kind of roll with the punches and wait for the new best things coming to the game. This was a necessary update. Things had to change in the game, and I'm excited to see what Landscape has in store for us. Also about Android and global release, I think, again, we are getting close to that. That's why this update isn't introducing a lot of new things. We are introducing a lot of new changes, which I think are necessary steps for global and Android. I think we're moving in the right direction. But they said that if this update is overall positive and it's received really well by the community, it's going to be the next step, Android and global. So the next update might be Android and global. So I think that's awesome. I don't think that this update is going to initially drop in a positive manner, just because no one likes change, and I agree with that. When I first saw the Brawl Talk, I was a little bit drawn back as well. However, we have to give it a chance before we even play it. We can't have negative feelings about it. We might love it. So just try to keep that in mind. Don't be so quick to disregard everything in this update. Try to appreciate the new things that are coming. I like how it's a little bit simpler in the shop. It's going to benefit the new players coming. I like how the landscape looks. I think it looks really, really cool. I like being able to see how pretty the map is and how big and how wide. You can see the whole map on just your phone when you're playing. So I like that change as well. Got to pay attention to the positives. So before you guys disregard it and are saying, I don't like this update, because not a lot of people I don't think are because of the change, make sure to kind of look at it in a different perspective. Look at it that this is a necessary step for global and Android release. We got to make it simpler for the new players coming. So I definitely agree with that. So you guys, let me know what you think about all these new changes coming to the game very soon in the next update. I'm a little bit excited and a little bit nervous, but it's a good nervous. I'm excited to see what this game has in store for us. So hopefully you guys are excited too. Make sure if you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like on it. It really helped me out a lot. Also, comment below on what you are most excited for in this update, or what you have kind of gripes with. I'd like to know that. So with that being said, you guys, make sure to keep having fun with Brawl Stars, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.